Prince Jones was a fellow student of mine at Howard University. He was a tall, beautiful young man. Prince was in Prince George's County, Maryland, driving. It was late at night. He had just dropped off his young daughter. He was going to see his fiance, and he was in a Jeep, an SUV. The SUV he was in was being followed, as it turned out, by the police, the Prince George's County Police. By his testimony, Prince got back in the car and into his truck and rammed the police officer's car, and the police officer shot and killed him. Yeah. I had Dr. Boris for his History of Women in America, and this was years ago. This was like '95, and she kept saying this phrase, which I thought was tremendously awkward at the time. And she kept, like, when she would talk about women and she would talk about exploitation, she would say women's bodies, the usage of women's bodies. And I said, what are you talking about? Why did you just say women? Like, I didn't understand what she was actually saying. And even after I left the class, I didn't understand what she was saying. But years later, I understood that the statement she was actually making was on how those who oppress, those who utilize, those who exploit actually see women. They just literally see them as a body, and that's it. Nothing else, no sort of, anything, complicated or humane, just a physical thing to be utilized in, whatever the power says, they want to be utilized. And I thought that was just a tremendously stark, way of presenting the case, so that stuck with me. The boy with the small eyes reached into his ski jacket and pulled out a gun. I recall it in the slowest of motions, as though in a dream. There the boy stood with the gun brandished, which he slowly untucked, tucked, and then untucked once more. And in his small eyes, I saw a surging rage that could, in an instant, erase my body. That was 1986. That year I felt myself to be drowning in the news reports of murder. I was aware that these murders very often did not land upon the intended targets, but fell upon great aunts, PTA mothers, overtime uncles, and joyful children. Fell upon them random and relentless, like great sheets of rain. I knew this in theory, but could not understand it as fact until the boy with the small eyes stood across from me, holding my entire body in his small hands. The boy did not shoot. His friends pulled him back. He did not need to shoot. He had affirmed my place in the order of things. He had let it be known how easily I could be selected. I took the subway home that day, processing the episode all alone. I did not tell my parents. I did not tell my teachers. And if I told my friends, I would have done so with all the excitement needed to obscure the fear that came over me in that moment. I remember being amazed that death could so easily rise up from the nothing of a boyish afternoon, billow up like fog. I knew that West Baltimore, where I lived, that the north side of Philadelphia, where my cousins lived, that the south side of Chicago, where the friends of my father lived, comprised a world apart. Somewhere out there beyond the firmament, past the asteroid belt, there were other worlds which children did not regularly fear for their bodies.